Good afternoon. Here is the national news from our studio, PGI TV, Baba Bagede Imo TV. First are the major headlines for the national news. I am yours faithfully, Morire Rebidawal. Serap drags Lawan Gbajabiamila to court over failure to probe missing funds. Nigeria in process of being reborn, or Shimbadro. Insecurity, Iowa Group endorses call to prayers, urges collective action. Armed Forces Remembrance, shown acts capable of igniting war, says Sanwo-Olu. Magodo fiasco, Sanwo-Olu and genuine leadership. Suspected herdsmen attack Ishago community, kill 3. 2023, any party that fields northern presidential candidate will lose, Ngige. Now the news in details. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP has sued the Senate President Dr. Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of House of Representatives Mr. Femi Gbadabiamila over their failure to probe alleged missing 4.1 billion naira public fund budgeted for the National Assembly. The suit followed the publication of the annual audited report for 2016, in which the Auditor General of the Federation raised concerns about alleged diversion and misappropriation of public funds and sought the recovery of any missing funds. In the suit filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja, on behalf of SERAP by its lawyers, Kolawole Oluwadari and Kehinde Oyewumi, the organization is seeking an order of mandamus to direct and compel Dr. Lawan and Mr. Gbadabiamila to perform their constitutional oversight functions to promptly probe the allegations that fresh 4.1 billion naira budgeted for the National Assembly may be missing. In the suit, SERAP is arguing that the National Assembly has legal and constitutional duties to prevent and combat corruption, as well as promote transparency and accountability in the management of public resources. According to SERAP, the National Assembly can only effectively perform its anti-corruption role if it can demonstrate exemplary leadership to probe the allegations of corruption and mismanagement involving the legislative body. SERAP is also arguing that transparency and accountability in the management of public resources and wealth are essential for promoting development, people's welfare and well-being, and their access to basic public services, as well as good governance and the rule of law. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has said that the country was in the process of being reborn. He made the point at the interdenominational church service to mark the Armed Forces Remembrance Day at National Christian Center, Abuja. According to the Vice President, the battle against insecurity and other criminalities threatening the country's unity and well-being is a fight to preserve and leave a better Nigeria for our children, despite its imperfections. It is the struggle to realize the worth of our national anthem and make Nigeria a land where peace and justice reign. The nation we are fighting for is in the process of being reborn, and every victory that our armed forces record through their immense courage serves to bring the new Nigeria. Represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the Vice President said, as we celebrate our fallen compatriots and our veterans today, Sunday, we must recognize that the burden of their vocation is not borne by them alone. The families of the fallen heroes bear an extraordinary burden, the loneliness of husbands and wives violently deprived of their spouses, the trauma of children who will grow up without the warmth of the parents' love, and those who raise their children along as single parents. From the Civil War to our current struggle against terrorists and insurgents, the durability of our reunion has been made possible in large part by dedication to duty of men and women of our armed forces, often at a great cost to themselves. The coalition of northern groups CNG has described the advice to seek divine intervention against insecurity by eminent global Islamic clerics that met in Kano as timely step in the right direction. Abdul Aziz Suleiman, spokesperson of the CNG, while responding to reporters, said, as a Muslim, He doubts the efficacy of prayers to beseech God's help and support in solving every issue, no matter how complex. He, however, cautioned that whatever amount of prayers must be backed by action from the government as the first responder and improved cooperation and support by the public. The CNG had already flagged off a series of prayer sessions which began in Kano late last year in recognition of the enormity of the security challenges in the country, especially around the north. Suleiman said, at the risk of overstating the case, I can honestly say that the escalating security situation in the north is one of the most serious challenges facing Nigeria today. National security challenges such as the one we are faced with should not be treated with levity and condescension. Neither should they be seen as affecting only one region or states, or, for that matter, one ethnic group or the other. On the contrary, such challenges are cross-national issues that affect every one of us regardless of where we live or come from. For this reason, the situation must be confronted collectively with the entire will and resolve of the nation behind the effort. Failure to do so will indubitably mean that every effort made in isolation will defeat all our endeavors and render our task the more difficult and futile. Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu has urged citizens to shun acts capable of igniting wars, as well as stop unnecessary criticism of Nigeria. Sanwo-Olu, who made the call during a dedicated Jumat and interdenominational divine services at the Chapel of Christ, the Light and Community Central Mosque, Alausa, Ikeja, to mark the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration at the weekend, rather urged citizens to contribute their quota to nation building. Sanwo-Olu, who was represented at the Jumat service by his deputy, Femi Amzad, said that Nigerians had formed the habit of criticizing the nation and even the armed forces, but also contributed to wrongdoings. All we do is criticize. We even criticize the Nigerian army that they are not fighting well. We always elevate the bad things about our country. It is important we shun all acts that could lead to outbreak of war. According to Sanwo-Olu, God has given everyone his uniqueness, and such uniqueness should be used to build this country. Whether we like it or not, if we don't build it, all of us will suffer. We should do everything to prevent war, but some people have voluntarily said they will protect all of us with the help of Allah to defend this country. We must appreciate them. The head of service, Akin Muri Okwala, urged Nigerians to go beyond praying for the armed forces, but do what was necessary by supporting the families of the fallen heroes. Muri Okwala commended the Nigerian armed forces for the effort put in place to protect the people and the nation's integrity. Also, Commissioner for Home Affairs, Anofio Elegushi, commended the armed forces for keeping the peace and protecting the nation. Elegushi urged the people to continually show support to the widows around them, especially the families of the fallen heroes. I have read a lot of reactions in media reports on the engagement between the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the resident properties owners in Magodo Phase 2 Estate, and a certain chief superintendent of police who was sent from Abuja to lead the supposed execution and enforcement of Supreme Court judgment on the embattled plot of land. First, we must appreciate the leadership style of the present governor as a man who listens, a man of peace, down to earth, and one who takes all shades of opinion before making decisions on any matter. Secondly, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, apart from building structures and keeping his promises across his administration's team's agenda, always prioritized peace and security in the state above many other interests. He recognizes that it is in the atmosphere of peace and security that sustainable development can be achieved. Furthermore, this government cares about the welfare of all the residents of Lagos, irrespective of their social status, age, or gender. This is why you see him engaging publicly with residents in Ajar over the menace of Okada riders who ride against the traffic. He has also had several other interactions with market men and women in Yaba, Oyinbo, Ikorodu, Badagry, and other areas over plans of the government. This action is only easy for humble and people-oriented leaders who would not just sit back in their palatial offices to issue instructions. Governor Sanwo-Olu goes out to get the job done even if it entails meeting with the people in their various areas of residence. The Magodo issue is a bit knotty as it is legal, but regardless of the circumstances that led to the current situation, the governor under whose watch the seeming crisis happened must rise up to the occasion to redress and address it frontally. After all, you inherit both assets and liabilities when you are elected into an office. This my principal knows and understands very well, and in the line with the oath he swore on to, that he will protect the lives and property of every citizen. He had to wade into Magodo land issue before it degenerates into a full-blown crisis. Unconfirmed report which invited as it that 3 indigents of Ishiago community in Iro, local government area of the state, were last Sunday attacked and killed by suspected herdsmen in the area. The victims were killed by suspected herders while returning from their farm in the evening of a fateful day. Comments are saying it was a disheartening day when the people were killed by herdsmen and yet no arrest or police presence to know if investigation is to be carried out on the issue around Ishiago, local government area of Ibo in the state. And lastly, before we call it a wrap, Minister of Labor and Employment and former Governor of Anambra State, Senator Chris Nwabweze Ngige, in this interview spoke on the urgent debate over rotation and zoning of offices ahead of the 2023 presidential poll. Ngige, who is one of the founding fathers of the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC), among others, also spoke on insinuations that the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) plans to field a northern presidential candidate to beat APC at the poll, and why Southeast should produce President Buhari's successor. The issue of the rotation of the prime offices in the land, even though it is not expressly written in the constitution of our party APC, is by implication written in the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria. First, I take you to section 14 of the Constitution, which talks about the composition of government at the national level, state and even local government, in such a way that there should be no element or perception of domination by any single tribe or group of persons that come from one ethnic nationality, and in such a way that government at any level is seen to have not been national to engender confidence and patriotism. That is what the Constitution says. So the wise men that did the 1979 Constitution and 1999 Constitution took this into account, and all that constitutional conference and legislative bodies of the country, whether national, state, and even local government legislative councils, adopted it. That is why the Constitution formed the basis of government at these three levels. So in effect, we all agree following the Constitution that government at any level, the legislature, the executive, and even to the extent the judiciary, should reflect national spread. No particular group should dominate the other. That is also why if they are making appointment in the judiciary, zoning comes in. That was the national news from BGI TV. But before we go, a quick recap of the headlines once again. Sarah drags Lawan Gbajabiamila to court over failure to probe missing funds. Nigeria in process of being reborn, or Shimbajo. We also brought to you concerning insecurity. Iowa Group endorses call to prayer, urges collective action. Armed Forces Remembrance, Sean Act capable of igniting war, says Sanwo-Olu. Magodo fiasco, Sanwo-Olu and genuine leadership. Breaking with suspected herdsmen attack Isharu community, killed 3. And lastly, 2023, any party that fields northern presidential candidate will lose. Chris Ngige. Thank you for watching. You can link up on our social media handles from YouTube, Baba Gbagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell for all options for you to get updated. And on Facebook, Gbagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page for update as well. On Instagram, Gbagede Imo _22. For advert placement of goods and services, products, coverage of event and function, the phone number streaming on your screen is the number to dial. Thank you for watching. I am yours faithfully, Morire Rebila Lawal.